like you need to kickstart your life? Looking for inspiration to make this year better than the one before? Well, get ready, because my guest this hour, Lynn Doyle, author of the new book, I Dare Me, is sharing her ideas to recharge your life, and our fun begins right now on It's Your Call. Ever feel like you're in a rut or that the oomph has gone out of your life? You may be content, but feel like you need a good kick in the butt. Well, if so, you are not alone. But this hour on It's Your Call, we may just have the answers you're looking for. Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lynn Doyle, and it's great to have you along with us. My guest this hour was in her mid-50s, happily married, successful at work, yet not quite feeling it. Lynn Doyle is an 8-time Emmy Award-winning anchor and investigative reporter for NBC, so she set out to investigate why she was feeling the way she was. She decided she was in a bit of a rut and needed to shake things up. So she set about doing something new every day for a year. She called it her year of first. Now, some were challenging, some were simple, but all were eye-opening and life-altering for her. She recounts the 365-day experiment in her new book, I Dare Me, How I Rebooted and Recharged My Life by Doing Something New Every Day. She's joining me now, and I am so excited about this interview. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Lynn. Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
I have to tell you, I smiled on every page of
Aww.
this book. So if nothing else, congratulations on bringing joy to so many people.
I'm so glad you liked it. I'm so glad. What made you smile?
You know, I could picture you coming up with these challenges.
It was hard.
And I could also relate, being that we're close in age,
Right.
to some of the challenges that you felt in this day and age. Right. So what was it about your life that made you feel like you were in a rut? How were you feeling? What was your life circumstance?
All of a sudden, I felt like I hit a wall. You know, it wasn't that anything was terribly wrong, but nothing was really right either. And I felt really bad during 2009. That is when the economy tanked, and everything was changing at work. People were losing their jobs, resources were being cut, but on top of that, I was being asked to adopt all this new technology and all this social media, and I'm like, whoa, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And I didn't want to change. I felt out of step and old for the first time in my career, and I knew I had to do something.
You know what? Maybe that's what made me smile, is because I thought, boy, that could have been Lynn Doyle writing that same thing.
It could be
because
lots of people.
Changes at work, changes in the economy, changes at home, your kids are out, and then all of a sudden, all of this new stuff is hitting you in the face. And if you don't go with the flow kind of goes over you.
Oh yeah, there's a sea of change coming at you, and if you decide you're just going to stay where you are, that's not going to feel good.
So a lot of us feel that way at any given time. Was there something that inspired you to make a change, a specific thing?
You know, what was interesting was that my daughter was working out in LA. She'd gone to college out there, and she came home for a holiday break as we were going into 2010. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and was like, who the heck are you? I don't even recognize you. You are a mess. You need to do something. And she did kick me in the butt. She said, you've got to do something. And she made me realize that I could not go on. And also, you know, I've had breast cancer. I'm a longtime breast cancer survivor, had a lot of other health issues, and I know that life is precious. Mm-hmm. I know that, you know, going months and a year feeling that unhappy, you have to do something.
Right, you have to make a change so that you can appreciate the life and the days that
Grab
you have.
onto it.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you made the decision to undertake these so-called first.
Right.
So being a reporter, being an investigative reporter, did you make a list before you undertook them, or did you just kind of wing it by the seat of your pants?
Okay, so it was a combination of everything.
Okay.
You know, there was a list, but when I started the list, you know, that got me through a couple of weeks, and then I realized, oh my gosh, there's 365 days. I mean, that's a lot. I started with the polar bear plunge on January 1st, which was incredible. But then there were 364 firsts I had to come up with. People gave me ideas.
Let's talk about that polar bear plunge, because there's quite the backstory to that. It was quite significant that you chose the first of your first to be something that was overcoming a fear for you at the same time.
Right, because, and when I told people I was going to do this, even my husband laughed and said, you don't go into the ocean in the summer. You're gonna go on January 1st in the freezing cold. And I knew to start this journey, for me, I had to do something big and symbolic and way, way, way out of my comfort zone. And it
was symbolic because when you were 8, you nearly drowned, or at least felt that you were drowning in an incident where you were out in the water with your dad, the waves came over you, and that stayed with you your entire life.
My
that
entire
fear.
life. I was always afraid that the ocean would literally,
Swallow me up. Yep.
And so, yeah, it was hard to run into the waves. And I asked these guys in Speedos to hold my hand and drag me in because I wasn't sure I would really go through with it. And they did. And it was exhilarating and it was wonderful.
So you jumped into the Atlantic Ocean on January 1st. And as you say, you have 364 more to go. You broke them down in the book as into chapters. One was like these first, like things that you were overcoming your fears.
Right.
What were some of the other ones that you utilized that came under overcoming fear?
Right. Well, the one that was really moving for me was talking to a stranger. And you would think, well, I'm a reporter. How hard could that be?
Right. It's your life.
Right. But I didn't have a camera with me. I didn't have a microphone. And if you've ever thought about just approaching a complete and total stranger, and this was an idea from a friend, and you have to have not just a hello, how are you kind of conversation, but a real full conversation. That's very challenging and intimidating.
When you're in Rittenhouse Square, a lovely young woman goes up to a person and says, I'd like to talk to you. What kind of reaction did you get?
I ended up choosing a gentleman who looked like he was sad and alone, and he was sitting on a bench at Rittenhouse Square, and I wasn't sure what his situation was. When I sat down next to him and said hi, I was so relieved that his face lit up, and he was happy to see me, and we ended up talking about his life and that his wife had died of breast cancer.
And so you had a connection with him.
We had a connection. Who would have known? We had an incredible conversation.
One of the other items that I found to be really interesting, knowing that you spend your life in front of a television camera, as I do, is going through an entire day without a mirror.
Oh my gosh, that was
I don't
really
know
hard.
whether that would be like one of those things that just lets your spirit free, or whether you're just nervous the whole day. Oh my goodness, how
I was
look.
freaked out all day long.
Did you do it on a Saturday?
I did do it on a weekend. It would have been hard to do.
Good girl.
But I was like, I'm always getting something on my face, like, or something. Yeah. So
I know that one. I thought to myself, could I do that? And except for the contacts, like you pointed out, putting the contacts in, I really still need the mirror to kind of help me.
It's a
Probably.
good challenge.
I might have my eyes in the wrong one.
Yeah, you get through it.
So I know that people are sitting at home and they're going, listen, this sounds great. It's really cool. I'm glad that you did it. But I have way too much on my plate, way too much going on. There's just no way that I could incorporate this into my life. Did that occur to you as well?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I was working full time through this. And at some point, I also went back to school and I was teaching school. So that was part of my life. So many, many days, I didn't have a lot of time. I had to do these things very quickly. Sometimes I found a good first was just a change in attitude. That doesn't take hardly anything.
We have a list there, first for busy people. I love the first one, no cursing. You have to know Lillian, guys. I know she has this angelic face, but she has her master's in cursing, I'm told. Trying new food, planting an herb garden, just getting in your car and driving with no destination. These are the kinds of things that could be considered just first for busy people.
Right. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. One day I went without coffee. I mean, that was hard, but it doesn't take a lot to do.
No coffee, no mirror.
No cursing?
No
oh my
cursing.
gosh. No, but a lot of things were fun. Like one day I ate a scorpion. Okay, I wouldn't do that again.
I was going to say.
One day I went into an ice cream store.
That?
It was interesting. One day I went into an ice cream store and tasted every single flavor in the ice cream store. That was fun.
I can't say that would be a first. I think I've done that on occasion.
Oh, all right.
Yes, I have done that. I have to admit, that's one thing I actually have
good.
done.
Okay, you and I are thinking the same way.
Well, I think it's a great idea, but you said that you had help because as many ideas that we might have or things that could be on our bucket list, when other people learned that you were doing this, they just jumped right on the bandwagon and gave you all kinds of ideas.
Thank goodness, and I learned so much about the people that I know through them giving me ideas, and I learned about the city. Like, who knew that the biggest wooden slide in America is here in Philadelphia? So one day I went and slid down that slide. Who knew you could walk across the Ben Franklin Bridge?
Yeah, that one
all right.
I like.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times I'd driven across and I could walk across.
Oh,
it.
we have to take a quick break, but the story about Luann walking across the Ben Franklin Bridge, she actually got stopped by a police officer who thought that she might be contemplating jumping.
Right.
Never gave that a thought, did you, when you started walking across, that someone might have that concern for you?
I had no idea, but when this police officer started following me, I'm like, what is he following me for? And he's like, lady, what are you doing up here?
It's not every day you see somebody dressed like you with the big high heel shoes on walking across the bridge.
Exactly.
And he was happy to know that it was for this great idea. We have to take a quick break, but we want to know what you think about this idea of trying something new every day for a year. Does it sound intriguing to you? Would you be interested in giving it a try? And if so, do you have questions for Luann? If you want, you can email me right now directly at lynn@lynndoyle.net. As always, you can find us on Facebook, and you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Lynn Doyle TV. We'll be back right after this. So, can you see yourself trying something new this year? Can you see yourself trying something new every day? Can you see yourself trying something new every day for a year? Well, that's exactly what my guest did this hour. Luann Kahn started her life by challenging herself to do a first every day for a year, and she's writing about it in a new book called I Dare Me, How I Rebooted and Recharged My Life by Doing Something New Every Day. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lynn Doyle, daring you to read this book and not be inspired by it. If nothing else, you're going to find yourself wanting to hula hoop. I'm going to explain that later. Right now, though, we're going to return to how Luann approached finding the first of these first. And you said a lot of people gave you ideas. It was a combination of things that you wanted to do and that viewers, friends, strangers even suggested to you.
Oh, fortunately. I mean, because, it's hard to come up with 365 things. But I will tell you, some mornings I literally woke up and said, oh my gosh, I don't know what new thing I'm going to do today, but I have to find something. One day I recited the alphabet backwards, you know.
And you came up with the idea that said, just say yes. So many times people you'd been invited someplace or say, why don't you try this? And no, I'm busy, I'm tired, it's the weekend.
We all do that.
Exactly.
We all do that.
That's why it's a relatable book.
Well, because the thing is, let's face it, we're more comfortable doing what we do every single day. And we do it over and over again until it feels like Groundhog Day. If that worked, if your life works for you, great. But sometimes that's how we get stuck.
And that's why it feels like sometimes you're in a rut, because you do the same thing, and you do know. I remember when I was a kid, we knew what meals we were having on what days. If it was Tuesday, it must be meatloaf. And I think sometimes people feel like that. So you took these ideas and you said yes to things that otherwise you probably would have said no to. One of which was Irish dancing.
An Irish hoolie. Somebody saw that I was doing first and invited me to an Irish hoolie. I had no idea what it was. I went by myself. I walked through the door. I hear some Irish jig thing going on, and they grab me, and I start dancing around the room, and it was a blast.
And you are obviously not Irish, right?
No, I'd never been to an Irish
you.
hoolie. But you know what?
That's a lot of fun for the Irish.
Right, but I'd never done anything like that before.
We have some questions. I put it out to Facebook and to my email, to my website, lynndoyle.net, if they had questions for Luann. So I have a couple. You want to
Great,
give it a try?
Go. Let's go.
It's a first.
Okay.
Luann's answering these questions for the
On
first
the fly.
time. Okay, Mary writes and says, I love hearing about all your stories, but I'm wondering, what was the one thing that impacted you the most that you did during that year?
Oh my gosh, that's such a difficult question because so many things impacted me. I mean, definitely out of 365, there are some that stand out. Like once I did the mud run, and I think you showed a picture of me. I went all by myself to this 10K mud run, and you're climbing all of these, you're going through all these obstacles. You see in the corner, there's a face of a woman. There was a group of young women who adopted me to help me get me through that, because I didn't know you're supposed to come with a team. And I still talk to those women today. And I realize as you go through these big firsts, you bond with the people you do them with. You connect with them and your circle expands. And that was a lesson that I've learned for life.
And one thing that you said you were really moved by was teaching for the first time.
So that was always a goal of mine, to teach. And it was interesting how that happened during my year of first. At one point, I was mentoring an intern in investigative reporting, and she was mentoring me in how to tweet. And at one point, I told her I was going back to school, and she said, "Why are you going back to school?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to teach." And sure enough, that person connected me to Drexel University, who's looking for an adjunct professor in investigative reporting. But that just shows you how once you start opening your life to doing things for the first time,
right,
it can connect you to the big thing that you want to do.
Wow. Okay, it's kind of like our version of The Secret. If you read that book,
yes,
what you put out to the universe comes back to you. It sounds like
well,
you put a lot out to the universe and you got a lot in return.
No, to that point, I think you're exactly right. And sometimes I think when you do something for the first time, it's kind of like throwing a pebble in the karmic universal pond. It creates an energy. It creates ripples that would never happen, possibilities that would never happen if you didn't do that thing.
All right, folks out there, we're going to throw out some pebbles and create some ripples.
All right.
Sam has written and says, what if you don't have a lot of extra money or the kind of TV pull that Luann has to do the kinds of things that you did? Do you have any suggestions for us normal guys?
Oh, he's calling me out. No, listen, I think that's a very legitimate and good question. I think a lot of the things I did were free and are just out there for anybody to do, especially, like I said, you could give hugs out. You could give free compliments out. Okay, this costs a little bit of money, but I paid for a toll of someone behind me. But, simple thing like, okay, yeah, he said no money. There's so many, you can hula hoop. You can learn to cartwheel. I mean, I did all those things and they don't cost anything. Sometimes just asking a friend to show you how to do something for the first time is a great first.
Go back to that free hugs. Seriously?
Free hugs.
I'm reading that and I'm like, seriously, are you crazy? I mean,
No.
there's all those crazies out there who want to get their hands on Luann Kahn from TV and give her hugs.
You know what? Even if you did it at work, even if you did it in your house, we don't hug the people we love enough. They'll probably go, what the heck is going on with you?
Look at this free hugs she's given away. She was the most popular host at Channel 10.
I think that was the day the hockey, our Flyers lost, and I decided everyone needed a hug.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the day that the Flyers were in. I'd be giving them hugs in too.
This was in 2010.
Right. Okay, let's get to some of the stuff that really got your adrenaline going. Let's talk about some of the things that might be on people's bucket list or that you might do once but not do again. Zip lining comes to mind.
I will definitely actually do that again.
You will, okay, but that was a first.
I had a great time. I'd never zip lined before, and I zip lined twice. Once in 2010, once in a jungle. In Mexico over a crocodile-infested lake with really, really old equipment, like kind of like Me, Tarzan, You, Jane kind of thing. It was crazy, but I loved it. I mean, I survived it and I loved it, and I would do it again.
Another chapter in the book deals with things that bring out the kid in you, and this is my reference to the hula hoop. Luann discovered the hula hoop for the first time since
I couldn't hula hoop in third grade.
Maybe she was a child.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So that could be something as simple as picking up your kid's hula hoop. Do they even play with them anymore? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I think
it's great exercise. You end up with the best core. Look at you.
Oh, yeah. It took 20 minutes for me to learn how to do that. By the way, the adult hula hoops are bigger and they're easier, I have learned. But, here the point to this is as adults, we forget to play. We forget to play games, we forget to laugh, we forget to have joy, and some of the ways you can go back to that, and again, most of these things don't cost anything, do something you have not done since you were a kid. It won't be, my rule is if you haven't done it in over 10 years, it's a first.
I just love the idea of people driving by and seeing Luann Kahn up in a tree.
Right, I climbed a tree one day.
I have to take a break, but we're going to come back in just 2 minutes with more ideas on how you can update yourself. If you can't do something new every day, you could do something new every week, and it might include social media. So stick with us for that. Along those lines, email me or find us on Facebook. I'm at Lynn Doyle or Lynn, It's Your Call Doyle. Welcome back again, everyone. I'm Lynn Doyle, and Luann Kahn is my guest. Most of you know who she is because she's been on television for years and years and years, and she's now written a book after she found herself in somewhat of what we call a life rut. It's called I Dare Me. She did something new every day for 365 days. Most of it was really great, but I have to ask, there's got to be something in there that you did, and you said, man, oh man, I don't care if they give me $1 million, they ain't ever doing that again.
There were quite a few things. Everything was an experience. I did not regret trying anything. There were definitely some things that I realized I don't have to do again. And some were surprising. Like, I thought eating dessert all day long for a first was just going to be a fabulous, wonderful day. Do not do that. It was just awful. And
How
I
bad
felt
was
sick.
that sugar high?
It was by 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I was like, "Wah."
Okay.
I
did eat that scorpion. I don't
did
want
eat
to
a
see you doing that
scorpion.
again.
I did something called chat roulette. You ever heard of that?
No, and when I read the book and
We
you
probably
told
don't
me
have to talk about it.
it.
You don't have to do that. It's
Well,
just
now
crazy.
you're going to make everybody go
Okay,
to
all right,
it.
all right. Basically, I'm just going to tell you, if you go on it, you might end up seeing a lot of naked men, and you really don't want to.
From all over the world.
From all over the world.
Yeah, so you did that and said, yeah,
I don't have to do that
I don't
again.
need to see that again.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you ended the book talking about karma, and we're both great believers in karma. So you tell people to consider first where they're giving back. In some way, they're giving to the community. And to Sam's point, not everybody has a ton of money, but just giving in some fashion.
Giving of yourself.
Of yourself.
You know, I grew up in a family, my dad was a social worker, and one big lesson he taught me was, when you feel down in the dumps, when you're worried about your little thing going on in your world, do something for someone else. And this really came in handy during my year of first, and I remembered this lesson because it always does make you feel better. I ended up volunteering at a homeless shelter, and I'd been in homeless shelters before, but in this one I was required to really sit and really have conversations and connected again in such interesting ways.
So how do you characterize that year of your life and what it's done to you?
It's opened it up. You know, there's all sorts of possibilities now. I feel like my life is evolving. And just in the fact I get to share this experience now. I get to write a book and I get to share that. How incredible is that? And I don't know what's next. I don't know what's coming, but I'm okay with that.
So
I can tell you, I jump out of bed every day and go, let's go.
So you are no longer in a life rut?
Not at all, because this adventure really opened up my life. And again, if you decide to do something, you don't have to do something every day. Just be open to doing new things and try something new once a week. You still get the same effect.
So we could challenge ourselves and say, once a week we want to try something new, once a quarter. You know, once every couple of months we'll try something new, or make a resolution that we do 5 new things by the end of the year. We don't know what they might be, or 5 first.
I think it's a mindset too, just to be open. The next time someone asks you to go do something that doesn't seem like just in your comfort zone, go. Do it.
I dare me.
I dare you.
Okay. The book is I Dare Me, How I Rebooted and Recharged My Life by Doing Something New Every Day. Thank you so much for being an inspiration to so many of us, and congratulations.
Thank you so much,
Good for
Lynn.
you.
Thanks
if
for
you have
having me on
questions
the
or
show.
comments for Luann, email me. I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.